Welcome back to my channel, still on the Refinda channel, which summarizes the storyline of a film, and you can watch a film with a shorter viewing duration without missing any part of the story. Very interesting, right? It begins by showing the most prestigious car racing event in America. Thousands of pairs of eyes are seen focusing on the race, where the most exciting thing they are looking forward to here is the momentum when a racer crashes or has an accident.
Put these in! This tickles.
And the story will focus on several spectators in the 180-sector grandstand. There is Han in black, Janet his girlfriend Han, Lori the blonde, Nick the most understanding and Lori's husband, including a skilled mechanic named Andy and his wife who also filled the grandstand, where when they were focused on watching, a cowboy named Jonathan suddenly appeared who blocked their view. Of the many spectators present, only Nick suddenly felt restless with the current condition of the grandstand. Starting from his rotten seat, the concrete walls that began to crack, even when he tried to ignore it, there was a situation that was not realized by the pit, the racing crew, when oil spilled onto the road and almost caused one of the racers to crash. As some of the guardrail bolts began to loosen due to the loud sound of the car, Nick was surprised by a pamphlet containing a list of racers who had died right next to him. Not only that, he also felt someone touching his shoulder behind him, but when he turned around, there was no one there.
You okay?
Felt something touch me, something.
At the same time, there was a racer who put his car into the pit stop to refuel, but because he was too careless and in a hurry, the crew team did not have time to take a screwdriver from the locking hole of his car's tank, which resulted in the screwdriver being thrown into the middle of the track and yes, as usual, it turned out that all of that was just Nick's imagination, but what surprised Nick was that the appearance of the people in the imagination was very similar to what we see now, such as the appearance of Jonathan with his cowboy hat, a mother covering her child's ears with torn money, followed by Audie and his wife, including the annoying thug named Carter, who was reprimanded by Mr. Samsel, who was the security guard
Nick,
there.
is there something wrong? Nick? Nick?
I need you to move your foot.
Not long after, a racing car number 6 appeared which, according to Nick, was the cause of his disaster, so he quickly asked everyone to get out of there. There was a commotion because Nick still wanted to get out. It didn't last long, after they were distracted again by the ongoing race. As a result, only 6 people managed to get out, including Carter, who was willing to leave his wife inside in order to be able to scold Nick. However, before Nick had finished explaining everything, suddenly, yes, what Nick was afraid of really happened, a major accident that killed Carter's wife, because she was still trapped inside, including his wife Andy, who unexpectedly would suffer the same fate.
Have you all lost your f***ing mind?
Long story short, the night was dark. Sometime after the tragic incident on the racing circuit, Nick JS gathered again at a cafe to reflect on what they had been through, including being grateful that they were still given the opportunity to continue their lives. Not far from the cafe, local residents were holding a flower-laying event for the victims, so Nick and Lori also attended. In addition to meeting Samsel, they were also approached by Carter, who seemed still very angry at Samsel, who was considered to have prevented Carter from saving his wife.
Your time's coming, Chocolate.
Upon arriving home, Nick suddenly woke up because of a strange dream he had. Nick explained that he saw some kind of burning tow chain, but because it was late, they didn't continue discussing it. Meanwhile, in another place, there was a tow truck that turned out to be planted by Carter, where that night, Carter secretly came to Samsel's house to take revenge because he still couldn't accept the death of his beloved wife. Because he was very drunk, Carter forgot to turn off his car engine. Even when the tow chain fell due to being pulled by the shovel he took, Carter didn't care at all and kept going, which actually caused the horseshoe hanger to fall on the gearshift and made the car drive by itself. Carter quickly got up to stop his car, but because the door was already locked automatically, Carter chose to just randomly let it be, without realizing that the tow chain had accidentally hooked Carter's leg while he was having sex, causing him to choke and die on the spot. The next day, the tragedy was broadcast on the morning news. Lori immediately told Nick about it. Here, Nick just realized that everything he saw in his dream last night, maybe was a clue about how the old man Carter would die.
On how Daniels was killed. All that is known at this time is that Ato's wife was tragically killed.
I've seen that door before.
Not long after, Nick again had a vision of a pair of scissors showing the falling scissors, regardless of whether it was the next sign or not, but after the incident at the circuit last month, Nick often had strange visions that didn't make sense.
It was like a vision.
Wait, you saw how another person was gonna die?
Moving to another place, 2 children were seen throwing pebbles into the garden where the grass was being cut, while the mother was at the salon to service her nails, which were already smelling of snails. Where the mother had been hit by a prang when the chair she was going to sit on suddenly had a problem.
I'm so sorry.
While cleaning our nails, we will be shown several heartbreaking incidents, such as a fan whose hanger almost came loose, a hairspray dispenser that slipped and got burned by the hair straightener, including a cream spill on the floor that had not yet been cleaned, where the 2 children came in to ask for pocket money. Suddenly, luckily they were still in the shelter. Before leaving, the mother apologized for the behavior of her 2 children who were beta and had messed up this place. When she was still at the gate while waiting for her 2 children, suddenly,
Let's go. Get in the car.
it turned out. The mother and the 2 children were the ones who survived the tragedy of the racing arena at that time, which, because of the incident just now, Nick gathered Janet and Han to remind them again that, like the incident of Flight 180 that he had read, death will come in its own order, even though the chain of death has been broken by thwarting the deaths of others, but sooner or later, death will still come to the people involved in it.
Hope you have fun. Janet, come back.
The very scared Janet chose to go home first, according to Han, who intended to spend the rest of his life having fun, while for Nick, he again got a vision of a carbide welding eye and a hydraulic rope that he didn't know what it meant, but Nick was quite sure, if the next death, it must be related to what he saw just now.
I think we can stop it.
How?
We gotta go to the racetrack.
That night, Nick and Lori returned to the racing circuit to remember who was in the next position to die. But suddenly, Samsel came and took them to the police station where, by chance, Samsel showed CCTV footage when the tragedy at the racing circuit was taking place, which, if seen from his seat, Nick guessed that the next person was Simontir Andy.
But how? I mean, we don't even know his name.
Do you know? Grand State Customs.
Waiting long, the 3 of them immediately went to Andy at his workplace. Several workshop properties were seen that were exactly what Nick saw in his imagination. Andy was told, if maybe he was in danger right now, but outside the scenario, Andy chose to stay there, even if it was indeed death or bitterness in this workshop. Andy was very ready to face it, and